Fact number 1. Antikythera Mechanism, 100 BC. In 1901, Greek sponge divers discovered a corroded bronze object in a shipwreck off the island Antikythera. The Antikythera Mechanism is an ancient analog computer containing over 30 interlocking bronze gears used to calculate astronomical positions and predict eclipses. Dating to 100 BC, the technology required to create this device should not have existed for another 1,500 years. When archaeologists examined the corroded fragments, X-ray imaging revealed multiple gear trains with precise ratios. The device predicted positions of the sun-moon and planets, calculated lunar phases, and tracked the Olympic Games cycle. The bronze gears were precisely cut with triangular teeth, and the gear ratios reproduced complex celestial movements. This required knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and precision engineering that seems impossible for ancient Greece. How did ancient Greeks possess this technology? Historical records mention mechanical devices, but nothing describing this level of sophistication. Some believe the mechanism represents a lost golden age of technology, destroyed when the Library of Alexandria burned. More controversial theories suggest extraterrestrial visitors shared advanced knowledge with ancient Greeks. The precise astronomical information encoded could have been provided by beings with space-traveling technology who understood celestial mechanics far better than humans should have. Skeptics note the mechanism fits within Greek science traditions. Ancient astronomers like Hipparchus had sophisticated planetary motion models. The knowledge existed in principle, even if constructing such a device is surprising. The mechanism might simply represent peak ancient Greek achievement rather than alien influence. Nevertheless, it remains deeply anomalous. No similar devices have been discovered, and the technology to create such complex mechanical computers disappeared from civilization for over a millennium. Whether this represents lost human knowledge or something more exotic continues to be debated. The Antikythera Mechanism proves ancient peoples were capable of achievements modern society often underestimates and forces us to reconsider assumptions about technological progress. Artifact number 2. Baghdad Battery, 250 BC. In 1936, archaeologists near Baghdad discovered a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and iron rod. When filled with acidic liquid like vinegar, the device generates electrical current through galvanic reaction. If this functioned as a battery, it would mean ancient Mesopotamians understood electricity over 2,000 years before Alessandro Volta invented the modern battery in 1800. German archaeologist Wilhelm König recognized the configuration was identical to a simple battery. When assembled and filled with acid, the Baghdad Battery produces 1 to 2 volts of electricity. Researchers built replicas demonstrating multiple jars connected in series could electroplate metal objects. Ancient artifacts show evidence of thin metallic coatings that could have been applied through electroplating. If artisans discovered they could coat metals with gold or silver using electrical devices, it would explain both the battery's purpose and why the technology was developed. Alternative theories suggest medical or religious uses. Ancient texts describe treatments with electric fish. Perhaps batteries created controllable electrical stimulation for therapy, or temple priests used electric shocks from hidden batteries to create sensations worshippers would interpret as divine touch. Critics argue the jar was for storing scrolls and electrical properties are coincidental. However, supporters counter that components creating a functional battery when properly assembled seems unlikely to be coincidence given sophisticated construction. The original Baghdad batteries were lost when Iraq's National Museum was looted in 2003. Modern analysis could have determined when artifacts were made and whether metals showed evidence of electrical use. These investigations are now impossible. Whether Parthians independently discovered electrical principles, inherited knowledge from earlier civilizations, or received information from non-human sources continues to be debated. If ancient peoples could generate electricity 22 centuries before the modern age, what else might they have achieved? Artifact number 3. Nazca Lines, 500 BC to 500 AD. The Nazca Lines are massive geoglyphs covering nearly 200 square miles of Peruvian desert. Created between 500 BC and 500 AD, these enormous designs include geometric shapes, straight lines stretching miles, and elaborate animal figures. The most remarkable aspect is their full form can only be appreciated from the air hundreds of feet above ground. Why would ancient people who lacked flight create artwork designed to be viewed from the sky? The lines were created by removing reddish pebbles to reveal lighter earth beneath. Figures include a monkey spider, hummingbird, and condor, some spanning over 600 feet. Perfectly straight lines extend for miles, maintaining straightness even over hills and valleys. From ground level, they appear as shallow paths, with no obvious pattern. Their true form becomes apparent only from elevated viewpoints or aircraft. Conventional archaeology explains the lines as ritual and religious purposes. They might have functioned as astronomical calendars, with lines pointing to solstice positions. Or they were processional pathways for ceremonies invoking gods for rain and crops. However, ancient astronaut theorist Erich von Däniken argued the lines were landing strips or navigational markers for alien spacecraft. The perfectly straight lines could serve as runways, while animal figures might be signals to attract extraterrestrial visitors. The Nazca people created the lines attempting to bring back sky gods who had visited and taught them advanced knowledge. Proponents note lines can only be truly appreciated from aircraft suggesting design for beings who could fly. Ancient Nazca mythology includes sky gods, which theorists interpret as alien visitations. Critics counter that lines can be created using simple surveying techniques with ropes and stakes. Experiments demonstrated small teams can reproduce designs without advanced technology. The aerial perspective might be interpreted backwards. Individual elements had meaning at ground level, and overall patterns may not have been significant to creators. Recent theories propose lines map underground water sources. Straight lines follow geological features associated with water, crucial for desert survival. This practical explanation accounts for locations without requiring alien intervention. Nevertheless, the mystery endures. Whether the lines represent religious practices, astronomical observations, water mapping messages to sky gods, or extraterrestrial landing markers continues to be debated. The Nazca left behind a mystery that intrigues researchers more than 1,500 years after the last lines were drawn. Artifact number 4. Piri Reis Map, 1513. The Piri Reis Map, created by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis in 1513, shows the coasts of Europe, Africa, and South America with remarkable accuracy. The controversial aspect is the map appears to show Antarctica's coastline in accurate detail, despite Antarctica not being officially discovered until 1820 and its coast not mapped until the 20th century. Some argue this proves the map was based on ancient source maps created by an advanced civilization or provided by extraterrestrial visitors. Piri Reis compiled his map using about 20 source charts, including Columbus maps and older charts dating to Alexander the Great. The map accurately depicts South America's eastern coast and Africa's western coast, but the southern portion appears to match Antarctica's Queen Maud Land, with bays and inlets corresponding to actual geographical features. In 1956, specialist Arlington Mallory noticed this correspondence. U.S. Navy cartographers reportedly confirmed the map showed geographical features matching Antarctica's actual coast, as it would appear without ice cover. Historian Charles Hapgood argued the map must be based on source charts created thousands of years ago, when Antarctica was ice-free. An advanced ancient civilization existed before the last ice age and possessed sophisticated cartographic knowledge. These ancient mapmakers accurately surveyed Earth, including Antarctica, before it became ice-covered. Their maps were copied through various civilizations, eventually reaching Piri Reis. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest if the map shows ice-free Antarctica, perhaps source maps came from alien visitors who had comprehensive Earth knowledge from orbit. Skeptical cartographers challenge the Antarctic interpretation. The southern portion might depict an imaginary continent based on classical geographical theories. Renaissance cartographers often included hypothetical landmasses. The similarity to Antarctica might be coincidental. When examined carefully, the alleged Antarctica coastline does not match perfectly. Distances and proportions are significantly distorted. Additionally, Antarctica has been ice-covered for 15 million years. There was no period in human history when the continent was ice-free and accessible for mapping. Whether the map depicts Antarctica, a speculative southern continent, or elongated South American coast remains debated. Mainstream scholarship dismisses the Antarctic connection as coincidence, while acknowledging the map is a valuable historical document. Alternative researchers maintain the map contains anomalous information, challenging conventional history, and suggesting either advanced lost civilizations or extraterrestrial contact. The original map is preserved in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace Museum, where it remains one of history's most studied and debated cartographic artifacts. Artifact number 5. Dropa stones, 1938 claim. According to controversial claims, Chinese archaeologist Chi Pu-te discovered hundreds of stone discs in caves in the Bayanhar Mountains in 1938. The discs allegedly contained tiny grooves forming spiral patterns with hieroglyphic-like markings. Later analysis supposedly revealed the discs told the story of spacecraft from a distant planet that crash-landed 12,000 years ago. Alien survivors called the Dropa were unable to repair their ship and integrated with local tribes. While mainstream archaeology dismisses the Dropa stones as a hoax, the story has become legendary in ancient astronaut theories. The story claims Chi Pu-te's team found skeletal remains measuring only 4 feet tall with large skulls. Cave walls showed pictographs depicting the sun-moon stars and beings descending from the sky. Among remains, they allegedly found 716 stone discs with spiral grooves containing tiny precise markings resembling writing. The discs were dated to 12,000 years old. For over 20 years, the discs sat unstudied. Then, in 1962, Professor Tsum Nui supposedly deciphered the symbols. The discs told the story of the Dropa people who came from a distant star system. Their spacecraft crashed, leaving survivors stranded on Earth, with no way to return. The story gained details as it spread. Some versions claimed stones vibrated or hummed when tested. Laboratory analysis allegedly showed high concentrations of cobalt and metals, giving them electromagnetic properties not typical of natural stone. However, when researchers attempted to verify the story, nearly every aspect failed investigation. No one has produced any of the original discs for examination. Museums in China have no records of such artifacts. Attempts to confirm Chi Pu-te or Tsum Nui's existence failed with no evidence these individuals were real archaeologists. The story appears first in a 1962 Soviet publication and was amplified by ancient astronaut writers. No primary sources, scientific papers, or authenticated photographs exist. Skeptical researcher David Gammon traced origins and found it appeared to be either deliberate fabrication or confused amalgamation of separate finds. The Dropa stones legend might have originated from genuine jade discs common in ancient China that were ceremonial objects. Skeletal remains, if they existed, might have been from indigenous peoples with naturally smaller stature. Despite lack of evidence, the story persists in popular culture. Whether the legend originated as science fiction, a misunderstood discovery, or deliberate hoax, it has taken on life of its own. The Dropa stones may not exist as physical artifacts, but they exist powerfully as cultural phenomenon and reminder to carefully examine extraordinary claims about ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial visitors. Artifact number 6. Saqqara bird, 200 BC. The Saqqara bird discovered in 1898 is a wooden artifact from Egypt dating to 200 BC. The object resembles a bird, but has unusual features, leading some to propose it represents an airplane or glider rather than a natural bird. The artifact has a vertical tail fin, unlike horizontal bird tail feathers, and wings swept back at an angle with airfoil-shaped cross-sections. While mainstream Egyptologists classify it as a ceremonial bird figurine, alternative researchers argue it demonstrates ancient Egyptian knowledge of aerodynamics and possibly flight. Egyptologist Khalil Masiha examined the artifact in 1969 and recognized its proportions resembled a glider aircraft. The vertical tail fin provides directional stability, and wing design generates lift. Model aircraft enthusiasts created scaled-up replicas that successfully glide, demonstrating stable flight characteristics when properly balanced. These tests suggest the Saqqara bird incorporates genuine aerodynamic principles. However, skeptics point out the original artifact is too small and heavy, relative to wing surface area, to fly effectively. Flight characteristics in lightweight replicas do not prove the ancient artifact was designed to fly, or that Egyptians understood aerodynamics. The fact a carved wooden bird has a shape-producing lift when scaled up might be coincidental. The vertical tail might serve non-aerodynamic purposes, like mounting or display. Ancient astronaut theorists interpret the artifact as evidence extraterrestrial visitors introduced flight technology to Egyptians. Under this theory, aliens demonstrated aircraft or shared aerodynamics knowledge, and Egyptians created models to commemorate what they had seen. Mainstream Egyptologists offer simpler explanations. The artifact might be ceremonial honoring bird deities, like Horus or a toy, or weather vane with a vertical fin mounted on a pole, allowing rotation into wind. The debate illustrates tensions between conventional archaeology and alternative interpretations. Mainstream scholarship emphasizes extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. For the Saqqara bird to be accepted as evidence of ancient flight, one would need remains of full-sized gliders, depictions of flight in texts, or technological infrastructure. A single small wooden carving does not meet this standard. Alternative researchers counter that mainstream archaeology dismisses anomalous artifacts not fitting accepted narratives. Even if Egyptians did not build aircraft, the Saqqara bird might represent understanding of aerodynamic principles discovered through bird flight observation. Whether ceremonial figurine, toy weather vane model aircraft, or evidence of alien-influenced technology, the mystery of its true purpose continues to intrigue researchers. Artifact number 7. Ancient astronaut cave paintings, worldwide. Throughout the world, ancient peoples left cave paintings depicting humanoid figures that some researchers argue represent extraterrestrial visitors. These images show beings with large, round heads, antenna-like protrusions, rectangular body shapes, and what appear to be helmets or suits. Famous examples include Australia's Wandjina figures, Italy's Valcamonica petroglyphs, and Algeria's Tassili n'Ajjer frescoes. Ancient astronaut researchers argue these artworks document actual contact with alien beings. Mainstream archaeologists interpret the same images as mythological beings, shamanic visions, or stylized humans in ceremonial dress. The Wandjina figures in northwestern Australia date back at least 4,000 years. These paintings show beings with large round heads, lacking mouths, huge eyes, and radiating lines around heads, suggesting halos or energy fields. Aboriginal tradition describes Wandjina as sky beings, who came during creation time, shaped the landscape, gave laws, then returned to the sky. Ancient astronaut theorists point to large heads and eyes matching stereotypical alien descriptions. The radiating lines could represent helmets or glowing energy. Absence of mouths might indicate beings wearing breathing apparatus. In Italy's Val Camonica, valley petroglyphs include figures dubbed astronauts, with rectangular bodies, round heads, and antenna-like protrusions. In Algeria's Tassili n'Ajjer cave paintings include what researcher Henri Lotte called the Great Martian God, over 15 feet tall, with a large round head containing grid-like patterns, possibly representing a helmet. Proponents argue these widespread similar depictions suggest a common source. If different cultures independently depicted similar non-human beings with technological features, perhaps they were documenting real encounters with the same extraterrestrial visitors. Mainstream archaeologists strongly reject the ancient astronaut interpretation. They argue images are entirely explained by shamanism and altered consciousness states. Shamans enter trance states and report encountering spiritual beings with non-human characteristics. The large-headed figures with radiating lines represent spirit beings seen during shamanic journeys. Throughout prehistoric art, supernatural entities are depicted differently from humans, using exaggerated features and distinctive markings, signaling otherworldly nature. Anthropologists note shamanic art across cultures shares common visual elements because human neurology produces similar imagery during altered states. Large eyes, geometric patterns, and elongated proportions that theorists interpret as spacesuits are actually universal features of entoptic phenomena, visual hallucinations produced by the brain. The ancient astronaut interpretation imposes modern concepts onto ancient art. The idea suited humanoids represent spacemen only makes sense in a culture that has developed space travel. Ancient peoples were depicting gods, spirits, ancestors, or mythological beings according to their own cultural narratives. Whether the paintings represent shamanic visions, cultural mythology, or records of ancient alien contact, they demonstrate sophistication and creativity of early human societies. Artifact number 8. Crystal skulls, claimed ancient origin. Crystal skulls are carved representations of human skulls made from clear or milky quartz. Several surfaced in the late 1800s and early 1900s, with sellers claiming they were ancient Mesoamerican artifacts created by Aztec or Maya civilizations. The most famous is the Mitchell-Hedges skull, allegedly discovered in 1924 in Belize. Proponents claimed the skulls were carved with impossible precision, using technology that could not have existed in ancient times, suggesting either lost advanced civilizations or alien influence. However, modern analysis using electron microscopes revealed the skulls were carved with rotary tools, not available in pre-Columbian America, indicating they are likely modern forgeries. Anna Mitchell Hedges claimed she discovered the skull on her 17th birthday while exploring Mayan ruins. The skull measures approximately 5 inches high, carved from a single piece of clear quartz with a detachable lower jaw. It features realistic anatomical details. When illuminated from below, the crystal catches light, creating an eerie glowing effect, contributing to its mystique. However, researchers found the skull was not mentioned in expedition reports. Its first documented appearance was at a 1943 Sotheby's auction, where Frederick Mitchell Hedges purchased it, suggesting he acquired it from a European source, rather than discovering it at ruins. Proponents made extraordinary claims about impossible precision in carving and supernatural properties, including emitting energy, causing visions, or storing information like crystalline hard drives. Believers suggested the skulls might be artifacts from Atlantis products of alien technology or creations of unknown advanced civilizations with laser cutting abilities. Some claimed modern jewelers could not replicate the skulls using known techniques. However, in 2008, the British Museum conducted comprehensive analysis using scanning electron microscopy, revealing microscopic tool marks invisible to the naked eye. The skulls showed clear evidence of being carved with rotary wheels and polishing compounds matching 19th century lapidary equipment. The smooth surfaces were achieved through mechanical polishing with fine abrasives well established in European gem cutting by the 1800s. There was no evidence of lasers, ultrasonic carving, or mysterious technology. Investigation traced several skulls to German crystal carving workshops in Idar-Oberstein, a major center for gemstone carving during the 19th century. The quartz was Brazilian rather than from pre-Columbian sources. Despite overwhelming scientific evidence that crystal skulls are modern creations, belief in their ancient origin persists. The case illustrates how artifacts can be created attributed with false provenance and accepted as authentic without proper examination. The crystal skulls remain culturally significant symbols, reminding us that stories about artifacts can be as powerful as the artifacts themselves. Artifact number 9. Voynich Manuscript, 15th century. The Voynich Manuscript is one of history's most mysterious books. This illustrated codex, written on vellum, dates to the early 1500s and contains approximately 240 pages of text in an unknown writing system that has defied all attempts at translation. The manuscript is filled with colorful illustrations showing unidentifiable plants, astronomical diagrams, naked human figures, in strange scenes involving tubes and pools, and page after page of flowing script that no one can read. Despite being studied by the world's leading cryptographers and linguists for over a century, the Voynich manuscript remains completely undeciphered. Some researchers have suggested the text might be of non-human origin, possibly a document created by or for extraterrestrial beings. The manuscript's history is partially documented. It belonged to Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, who paid 600 gold ducats, believing it was the work of philosopher Roger Bacon. From Rudolph's court, the manuscript passed through various hands, eventually ending up in a Jesuit library, where Polish book dealer Wilfrid Voynich purchased it in 1912. The text appears to be written in an unknown alphabet, with flowing pen strokes forming words and sentences, with spaces between words and organized paragraphs. Statistical analysis shows it has properties similar to natural languages, including word frequency distributions and syntactic patterns suggesting genuine writing rather than random gibberish. The illustrations are equally mysterious. One section contains drawings of plants that do not match any known species. Botanists attempted to identify the flora, but the plants seem to be fantastical combinations or entirely imaginary. Another section contains astronomical diagrams with circular designs, zodiacal symbols, and star charts. The most enigmatic section shows naked human figures, predominantly female, in bizarre scenes, bathing or floating in interconnected pools, and tubes filled with colored liquid unlike anything in medieval or Renaissance art. Many attempts have been made to decipher the manuscript. During World War II, code breakers who successfully cracked enemy codes tried and failed. Modern computer algorithms, including artificial intelligence, have analyzed the text searching for patterns. No one has produced a convincing decipherment. One theory is the manuscript is an elaborate hoax created in the 15 or 1600s. A con artist created meaningless text in an invented script to sell as a rare valuable work. However, the complex linguistic patterns make creating a lengthy, realistic text difficult even for a sophisticated hoaxer. Another possibility is the manuscript is written in a cipher intended to conceal secret knowledge. Medieval alchemists and physicians sometimes recorded findings in coded form. However, centuries of cryptanalysis by experts have failed to break any such code. Some propose the manuscript might be written in an artificial language created specifically for the document. If so, the language died with its creator, leaving us unable to read it. More speculatively, some suggest the manuscript might not be of terrestrial origin. If extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in medieval times and left behind a document, it would naturally be in a completely unknown language and writing system. The unidentifiable plants could depict alien flora. The astronomical diagrams might show star systems from an extraterrestrial perspective. While extremely speculative, this would explain why the manuscript has resisted all interpretation using human linguistic methods. The Voynich manuscript is housed at Yale University, where high-resolution scans are publicly available. Despite openness and attention of countless researchers, the manuscript keeps its secrets. Whether genuine document in unknown language, elaborate cipher, sophisticated hoax, or something more extraordinary, the Voynich manuscript remains one of the most enduring intellectual mysteries, challenging our understanding for over a century. Artifact number 10. Aluminum Wedge of Aiud, 1974. In 1974, workers digging near the Mureș River in Romania discovered 3 unusual objects buried 10 meters below ground. 2 were prehistoric animal bones from extinct mastodon species. The third was a wedge-shaped piece of manufactured metal, identified as aluminum. Pure aluminum does not occur naturally, and humans did not develop technology to produce aluminum until 1825, with commercial production beginning in the 1850s. Yet this aluminum wedge was found in a geological layer alongside mastodon bones, suggesting an age of thousands or tens of thousands of years. This apparent anachronism led to immediate speculation the object was of extraterrestrial origin, possibly a component from an alien spacecraft that crashed on Earth in prehistoric times. The aluminum wedge measures approximately 8 inches long, 5 inches wide, and 3 inches thick with a distinctive shape and concave area on one side. The surface shows evidence of wear and oxidation consistent with long burial. Composition analysis determined it is an aluminum alloy containing small amounts of copper, silicon, zinc, lead, and other trace elements consistent with modern aluminum production techniques. Initial Swiss analysis reportedly confirmed the composition and noted unusual oxidation, suggesting long environmental exposure. The association with mastodon bones was particularly significant. Mastodons disappeared approximately 10,000 years ago. If the aluminum wedge was truly contemporary with the remains, it would predate known human civilization and aluminum metallurgy by over 12,000 years. Ancient astronaut proponents argued the wedge is a piece of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. The shape with its concave depression suggests it might have served as a support or landing foot. If a spacecraft crashed in prehistoric Romania, components might have been left behind and buried by geological processes. However skeptical, researchers questioned every aspect of the extraordinary claims. The object was found by workers rather than professional archaeologists, and exact stratigraphic context was not properly documented. The mastodon bones might have been from a much older layer that was disturbed and mixed with more recent deposits. Riverbank deposits are notorious for mixing materials of different ages, especially in areas subject to flooding. The aluminum wedge might be of much more recent origin, accidentally buried near ancient bones. Alternative explanations focus on identifying mundane origins. Some suggested it might be part of agricultural equipment, mining machinery, or construction tools from the early to mid-20th century. Aluminum alloys began to be used in heavy machinery in the 1930s. A broken piece of equipment buried in riverbank sediments could explain the discovery. The alloy composition containing copper, zinc, and other elements is entirely consistent with aluminum alloys developed in the early 20th century. The loss of the original artifact during chaos in Romania prevents definitive modern analysis. Without careful documentation and additional corroborating artifacts, it is impossible to determine conclusively whether the object is genuinely ancient or a more recent intrusion. The aluminum wedge remains in a Romanian museum occasionally displayed, but the lack of clear provenance prevents mainstream archaeology from accepting it as evidence of anything extraordinary. Whether modern machinery or alien spaceship component, the aluminum wedge continues to generate interest as a tangible object believers point to as potential evidence of alien presence on Earth. The case reminds us extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, including rigorous documentation, comprehensive analysis, and consideration of prosaic explanations before leaping to conclusions about extraterrestrial technology.